oftentimes in the world, we have this fallacy that there's always another opportunity, right? The marketplace always tells you like, oh, don't worry about not capitalizing on this opportunity because there's always a next one. But what if there isn't a next one? Like, what if fundamentally your shot is coming up and your preparation determines whether you capitalize on the opportunity or not? Therefore, you need to take it seriously. You need to take it urgent because, well, if you miss the opportunity, then it's going to cost you a lot. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what that opportunity looks like and the three kind of topics we're going to be discussing. Topic number one, how to make your first 10K per month. So I don't care if you are in a third world country. I don't care if you're in a first world country and you have money. As long as you have access to the internet and you have a working device and you have, well, the list of requirements that we're going to be discussing in the session, I truly believe that you can begin to develop a plan to get to 10K a month. And I'm going to give you the necessary frameworks to do that right now on this live. My goal isn't to clickbait you. My goal isn't to do anything except give you these three simple answers to number one, how do you make your first 10K? Number two, how do you identify high-level opportunities? Because you can't take advantage of every opportunity. We're talking about opportunities, right? So if you're taking advantage of one opportunity, that means that every other opportunity will not be paid attention to the same degree. So how do you determine what is a high-level opportunity and what is a low-level opportunity that you must pass on? Do you understand? You need to be able to answer that. So it's not just how do I make money, but where do I make money? And finally, how do I build a book of business? People don't talk about a book of business anymore because, well, most people don't even utilize books. But the concept of a book of business is, back in the day, pre-internet, pre-email lists, you would have your Rolodex, you would have your book of business. And this book of business, what it would do is basically give you a guiding beacon of understanding as to what customers kind of were in your scope. And these were the people that you would sell to on a consistent basis. These were your customer base. This was your tribe. This was your group. These were the people in your area. For example, if you look at the mid 1900s when there was thousands and thousands of small banks operating across the world, they would operate kind of like little individual units, right? Little individual operations. And in order for you to transact with them, you would have to go regional and local. So it's the same exact way, right? They would have their book of business develop, their list of clients. And today, for some reason, people have forgotten to develop a book of business. So we're going to talk about how to develop a book of business. So today, once again, as a refresher, we're covering three essential topics and then a framework as to how to achieve the outcome of these essential topics. Because if you're over the last, I would say 12 months, as I begin to study how the world works, and as I begin to study how the world works, not by, the articles on the internet, but by a specific methodology and approach of observation, to end up in a specific state of mind whereby I have all the necessary tools and ingredients to achieve my goal. In this case, the goal is 10K a month, one. Number two, how to identify high-level opportunities. And number three is how to build a book of business. Nobody's taught you this. I'm going to teach it to you. For the first time ever, I'm revealing one of my approaches. I get asked a lot, Luke, how do you develop mental models of thinking? And how do you develop process and operating systems whereby the data sets can be processed effectively into action? So first we need to take it back to the thinkers, right? The thinkers of old, because we stand on shoulders of giants, and to deny that the wisdom that we kind kind of interact with is ours is just a fallacy, right? So I'm not going to claim that I am a genius by any realm of the imagination, but what I'm taking is known principles that have been in methodologies that have been tested and proven to work, and implementing those frameworks into my life in a way that is sensical, that is based on logic and sense. And if I can teach that and pass that to you guys today, it's going to be super effective. So let's get started. So as you begin to study Plato or Aristotle's, and you begin to study the individuals that have shaped many of the philosophies of today's kind of stoicism or frameworks of democracy and how we govern society and what we consider to be benevolent or good. These individuals also were into different topics like science, mathematics. They were into astronomy. They were into food, diet. They were into leadership. They were into physical fitness. So they were well developed. But inside this framework, they developed one method that has become popularized in the world that if you can apply today, the reason I'm going to give you one of the mental models, because this mental model is a mental model that I know is going to break down any sort of barrier of this guy's not saying the truth, or any sort of barrier of, hey, potentially there's a fallacy in this guy's approach, because I'm not going to even use my mental model first. I'm going to use another mental model. I'm going to use a different method of thinking, okay? To achieve what? The end result, right? So we start with the end result in mind, and we reverse engineer it from there. So remember, the topic is how to get to your first 10K a month, how to identify high-level opportunities, and 3 is how to build a book of business. So what is this first method I'm talking about? What is this first method that I know that you guys are familiar with? It's the scientific method. Now, most people are like, the scientific method. But if I was to ask you today, what is science? Right? Or what is the scientific method? Guide me through the process of the scientific method to achieve what? A report or a conclusion. Would you be able to take me through the scientific method, right, to get to any sort of approach or objective or desired conclusion? In this case, the conclusion is, how do I get to 10K a month? How do I build what? A book of business, and how to identify high-level opportunities. That is the conclusion that we're trying to get to, right? That is the objective, that is the end goal. So we need to start at the beginning of the scientific method, and that is with the observation, right? You need to begin with observation. Let me mute the chat here because people are asking me to mute the chat. You guys can drop questions, turn off commenting, just because we're going to get into this flow. So in this first process of developing a methodology or a framework of thinking. And remember, a framework of thinking is your acceptance of a philosophy or a worldview whereby you input lens of reality that allow you to witness what is in front of you through that perception. Different philosophers, different money moguls, and different financiers. You can develop your own model. Life is very modular. You can pick and choose what you want. So today we're going to talk about the scientific method, because I know that you guys know this to be a method that even the system accepts. So any barrier of doubt can be dwindled. So first, everything starts with observation. Observing. To observe, to see, to watch, to contemplate. So the question is, before you take any action, let's say you're observing this video and I tell you, hey, dropshipping is the best business model. Most people, what they would do is they would go and start dropshipping. Now, what if that is the wrong approach to the acquisition of the information that I've given you? What if the approach should be to observe the data set, to observe the piece of information? Because remember, you need a preliminary framework that is useful for you to filter what is true and what is false in life. Because how do you know that what you believe to be true is true unless you back it up through some sort of methodology that is proven, tested, and time again to give you some sort of conclusion that is consistent? if people have been able to make money consistently over time, there is a methodology to make money. And anybody that tells me otherwise either does not have money or doesn't understand this philosophical and fundamental principle to how to yield high returns, making money, and not sell your fucking soul in the process, working a 9 to 5, having to hustle, having to raise money or sell your soul to be in the business world, right? So I've developed a philosophy under the premise of what? Not having to sell my soul to make a fucking dollar. And the people that are working regular jobs, when I mention these things, and there's nothing wrong with working a regular job, trust me, I did it for many years. But to stand there and to not be able to observe your current situation is just absolutely dreadful. So before you do anything, you need to observe the information in the situation that you're in. Next is you need to research. This is the next step in the scientific method, research. How much research have you guys, okay, you're perfect, you're processing payments online. Perfect, good. How much research have you done on payment processing and banking? You're buying crypto. How much research and topical understanding do you have about crypto? Because unless you're able to put a process through scrutiny, you're not going to be able to test its validity. So you have to put the scientific method to a test. Then you have to hypothesize, right? You need to be able to sit down with yourself in an environment where you can kind of do what? Think, hypothesize, cause and effect. If this, therefore this. If I have no money, therefore there must be a cause to the effect that there is no money. And instead of becoming emotionally attached and a bitch at the fact that you don't have money and attaching your identity to your bank account, you realize that that is the effect of a cause and you address the cause. Because your hypothesis has told you that through observation and through topical research that you're not the problem. That you're not the problem. It's the knowledge and information that you believe to be true that has led your actions to where you are today. So what if you could change your mindset, therefore change your actions, therefore change your life? Guys, I'm giving you the fucking framework as to how I think. Guys, this is how I made money. Like, I know people say that they make money in a ton of different ways and I accept it, like totally fine. Like, there's probably hundreds and thousands of ways to make money. I can tell you, I've never had to sell my soul. I wake up in the morning with peace. I wake up, my little mate gourd, and I get to think. I get to observe reality. And I get to hypothesize. A lot of people wake up in the morning and they rush out the door. They're on bot mode. And it's funny because a lot of those people are the ones that are commenting on my stuff, acting like they're awake. But then you evaluate their actions and they're just as asleep as the rest. Why? Because they haven't developed a method as to how they scrutinize their life. How do you scrutinize your actions? How do you know that your actions have a valuable enough output to help you achieve your goal? It's the same thing with like working out. It's the same thing with eating. You look at Okinawa, Japan, where people's BMI is the lowest, right, in the entire world, and they have a methodology for eating. So these people have the healthiest BMI in the world. They live insanely long. And they have a methodology of eating that is called the 80% rule. So when they feel like they have achieved 80% capacity of eating, they stop eating. That is a cultural philosophy and a philosophical view as to how to perceive the time of eating. But that is a mental model that's been adopted. Now go to the mental model at a McDonald's. That is a mental framework of belief. I know you guys are getting this. This shit's crazy, right? Anyways, next, you need to test with experiments. We talked about it, right? We talked about this idea that you need to be able to scrutinize the thesis and the hypothesis that you've been able to conjugate as to how you're going to make money. So now that you've been introduced to a business model and you have all these business models as to how you can make money online, you're going to see a ton of them inside Capital Club. You're going to research these topics in a dedicated format. You're going to do that inside Capital Club because I'm already going to do the research on your behalf. We're going to build hypothesis and mental frameworks together to scrutinize and validate whether these business models or these ideas or these approaches to business will achieve what? The 10K a month goal, which is the framework. Then we need to analyze the data of the scrutiny, right? So in this case, we need to test if we want to run a content agency where we're running short form. Well, you're going to have to create X amount of accounts, run X amount of videos, but I'm going to teach you guys how to analyze data and how to test the experiment. And this is where it's going to get really crazy because most people don't know how to test their endeavors to figure out whether they're going to yield money or not. And I'm going to give you 3 methods that over an extended period of time will dictate whether your method and approach to life will work. Finally, you have your report and your conclusion. This is the end, right? The end of the thinking process of the model of receiving that piece of information or that data set that is going to allow you to what? Progress. And this cycle is a constant cycle of rinse and repeat. I've developed my own mental frameworks and my own mental models. I'll share them with you guys over the time. I know I popped up as a random personality on the internet. So I've been digesting information to you guys slowly so that your minds wouldn't glitch out in a way that breaks your circuits, but slowly giving you guys information and clues and data sets that will get you to the next level. But I've been around for a really long time. And I wanted to bring these thoughts to you because I think that they truly are going to help you make more money. So back to the initial question that I asked you when we started, before we kind of go into how to test your experiments, right? I asked you guys, what is science? What is science? Over the last 3 years, we've heard science out the ass, right? But what is science? All these people with white, coats come in with thermostats, with degrees, and they say, I am a scientist. But what is science? Now, it's interesting because we need to take it back to origin. When we define words, we need to define the intent of the word so that you and I can be on the same page. So any basis of a conversation, so you and I right now, my friend, we're having a conversation. So in any basis of conversation or in any basis of debate, prior to that taking place, we must both agree on what? We must both agree on the definition of the words that we are going to be utilizing during our discussion so that we are both on the same page as to the communicative approach that we're going to take towards the conversation or in debate or discussion. So in this case, before we cover anything, we're talking about the scientific method. What is science? So we need to take it back to basically the beginning. Now, in its oldest sense, in its origin, science was not a atheistic worldview, right? In its origin, science was limited and restricted exclusively to philosophy and religion. So science, which by definition is the state of knowing, to know. So science is the state of knowing, so we need to define what does it mean to know. And we need to understand that at its origin, it was a philosophical, 1, and 2, religious, science, method, scientific approach, scientific method to what? Perceive reality. So in its essence, at its core, the scientific method was initially a religious and philosophical approach to understand and dissect what? Information to arrive to a conclusion. So, what does it mean to know? So if science, and we're talking about this mental framework of making money, right? And I know this gets intense, and excuse the big terms. I'm trying to simplify this in a way that keeps you here and keeps you attentive to the main goal, which is 10K a month, book of business, and high-level opportunities. You need to have a framework, but we need to talk about this framework. I need to give you the framework before we kind of get into painting the canvas. You need to have a structure. So if science is the state of knowing, right, then what does it mean to know? What does it mean to know? Now, in its origin, science, right, also has the concept of splitting. So in the scientific method, you arrive to a conclusion to what? Split. Split. What are you splitting? So, by definition, you're splitting what? The truth from falsehood. So, most of you guys have believed lies. And the reason I can tell you that you believe lies is because of the life that you live. Because if you believe the truth, if you knew the truth, not believe, no, well, the truth would set you free. I mean, that's what all the ancients believed. So, if to know the truth means freedom, then to abide under a scientific method principle, which is the state of knowing, or the ability to split truth from falsehood, becomes really interesting, right? So, to know, science is the art of knowing, to split, but to know is also this idea of splitting, or to perceive and to understand, to focus your attention on and to get rid of anything else. So science and knowledge are completely correlated with each other. So when we begin to talk about knowledge, which is the information that gives you the framework to action, you need to be able to, first of all, determine your goal. So if you don't have 10 grand, right, that you're making every single month, that needs to be your goal. And you can't have 1,000 other goals that are in antithesis to the goal that you're trying to accomplish. So if you're trying to acquire a six-pack, you don't eat donuts at midnight and never exercise. Why? Because those actions are in antithesis to what? The objective or the end result. So you need to test that experiment, test those actions to see if those actions are pushing you further or closer from what? Arriving to your end destination, which in this case is how to build a book of business, how to capitalize on high-level opportunities, and how to make 10K a month. Now, this concept of discerning, right? We talk about being able to discern and discerning information that is true from information that is false. How do you know that how you're operating your business, it's the most optimal way to operate a business? How do you know that how you sell to your customers is the best way of selling? If you've only scrutinized one specific model and one specific way of living it, and most of you guys, and I know it for a fact, have not lived many different lives and many different belief systems that are going to give you a worldview as to how to attack and approach a situation. This is high level information, and if you can dissect it, you're going to win. Now we talk about what? Experimenting. But you're going to experiment under three bases. These are the three experimental frameworks that every single action needs to be measured by. What doesn't get measured doesn't get improved. Write that down. What doesn't get measured does not get improved. If you want to improve your life, you need to measure your input. You need to measure your actions, right? And then countermeasure them with the reaction, with the output. So what are the three things that you are looking for in your input, in your day-to-day habits? There's three elements that are going to guarantee your ability to measure your worldview effectively to determine whether that worldview is going to allow you to reach your goals or not. So you measure the input and output in three different parallels. The first one is you measure it by level of intensity. Are you emitting a high level of intensity towards the outcome and objective of your goal? If the answer is that you're not exerting a massive amount of intensity towards your objective, it means that you, in return, are going to receive a low intensity result. Why? Because there is no friction or shock or in some way, shape, or form stress that you have to input or consume in order to receive something beneficial as the output. In this case, exercising, right? You can go to the gym, you exercise, and unless you stress the muscle, right? It's not going to grow. So intensity is important. Number 2 is volume. Most of you guys, I ask you how many sales calls you're doing, or how many ads you run, or how many books you read, and your volume is shit. You have no volume to measure the efficacy of the model of making money that you've chosen. You need volume. And many times you may need money in order to determine volume. So you need to be able to, once again, find and identify high-level opportunities that allow you to exert volume without expending lots of capital. Why? Because you don't have any. And then finally, you measure it by frequency. Frequency, I don't mean frequency like the vibrational frequency. I mean frequency as in consistency. So you measure things by intensity, volume, and frequency paralleled against the mental model of, does this give me the ability to make money? Does this give me the ability to build a book of business? And does this give me the ability to capitalize and identify high-level opportunities? And then you experiment it through volume, through intensity, aka massive intentionality and focus, and finally frequency, doing it consistently to be able to increase your odds of dissecting the proper information. That is the methodology that we're going to be using as a framework. So, now that we have the framework, let's paint the canvas. How do we make your first 10K a month? You need to be able to identify low risk, high reward opportunities. First of all, when you're getting started, you need to understand that you don't have a lot to lose. Therefore, you can risk more than most. That is an advantage of the small guy. The advantage of the small guy that the big guy doesn't have is that the small guy can take more risks. So in order for you to identify high-level opportunities, you need to have an appetite for risk. You need to have risk tolerance. Risk tolerance. Now, risk tolerance does not mean stupidity, because remember, you are taking this opportunity through a method. It's not just causality. You're taking it through a method. It's not just random, right? And you need to increase your odds by understanding that sweat equity in the beginning is essential. Write this down. Sweat equity in the beginning is essential. Now, what is sweat equity? Sweat equity in a partnership, let's say you and I go into a business, I come in as the investor, as the financier, and I want to give you $1 million to start a food truck business, and you are going to input, I'm inputting the money, and you're inputting sweat equity. These are the necessary, consistent, intense, voluminous hours that must take place in order for us to test the thesis as to whether this food truck is going to work or not. I've already done that by giving you the volume, aka the money, in order to test this thesis of making money. But as an entrepreneur, I haven't risked anything that can't continue doing. If you have no money and you risk the little bit of money that you have, well, you can't continue playing at the game of life because you have no chips. But you have sweat equity. And what is sweat equity? And we've talked about this in the past. Time, energy, and attention. Sweat equity is divided into time, energy, and attention. Time, when you do something. Energy, how you do something, how you input something. And attention, right, is the intent focus that you have towards that specific action. So time, energy, and attention is the framework that we utilize for sweat equity. So if you don't have a lot of money right now, don't worry, because you have something even better than money, which is you. Time, energy, and attention implemented through consistent, intense frequency of repetition will yield what? Improvement. And improvement, once again, going through the process of improvement, you're going to eventually increase your odds of success. Most people want to have a six-pack in a day. Most people want to make $1 million in a year. But when you begin to observe the billionaires that are out in the market, most of them have white hair. Why? Because it takes a fucking lifetime to get rich. So you better get fucking started now. What are you waiting for? But you need to make sure that how you are working towards this goal is under a methodology that is what? Replicatable and scalable. That is what we're trying to figure out. Through the scientific method, can I replicate and scale this operation myself? That's why when you get into Capital Club, you're going to see that everything is scalable and replicatable. Everything is scalable and replicatable because unlike anything else in the market, for the last 2 years, I haven't been a reactive individual. I've been building methods and approaches to winning and to making money, period. And I can tell that to you with full certainty because I know how to scale and build digital businesses and entrepreneurs. Be identified by number 1, risk reward ratio. Number 2 is horizon time frame. How long is it going to take me if I take this opportunity to obtain X result? In this case, the 10K a month. If you're going to actually go out there and do fucking copywriting and you think you're going to be out here doing 10K a month super fast, well, you better get really good at sales and you better get really fucking good at building a book of business. Because the problem with the copywriter isn't the fact that they don't know how to write copy. The problem with the copywriter is that they don't know how to sell. But the copywriter is out here studying courses on copywriting when this motherfucker should be studying courses on selling. Because why? He hasn't been instructed on how to develop a model of thinking that allows him to yield successful results. Because two people can observe the same piece of information and have two completely different projections, outcomes, observations, and conclusions regarding that topic. So you need to surround yourself not with these fucking young ass course pushers that have developed no methodology or framework for life except copying other people's shit. And you need to understand that it's not just information, it's the state of knowing. Because when you know, your confidence doesn't come from the bank account that you have. It comes from your skill set. It comes from your sustainability. It comes from your ability to win. Now, going back to the origin of words. If science at its origin was restricted to philosophy and theology, the question is why? Why was science, the method utilized to achieve a specific result, initially limited to theology and to philosophy? Let me present an argument. Not a fact, but an argument. By describing and breaking down the origins of these words that are the describers of other words. We need to find the root source. So if science and this idea of splitting the difference between falsehood and truth, because you need to know between falsehood and truth before you're going to take on any endeavor in life, the last thing you want to be doing, my friend, please listen to me carefully. The last thing you want to be doing is acting on false information. We clearly saw where that led, huh? All those great pieces of information, huh? That was the science. That was the framework, the belief system, the philosophy. So what is philosophy? What is the definition of philosophy? Do you know? So philos, coming from the origin, meaning love or brotherly love. Are you guys following me? You guys following me? We're breaking down the definitions of definitions. We're about to get crazy here. Philosophy, love, the study of love. That's what philosophy means, the study of love, the study of brotherly love. Okay? So if science is in its origin, it's limited to the study of, to the love of studying, that's what it is, the love of knowledge, the love of studying. And then theology, theo, God, ology, knowledge, it arrives to the conclusion that theology is a scientific mental framework that introduces God into the picture as the source of knowledge, the source of all data sets and truth and information of the universe. And to study God is to study knowledge, to study truth. Therefore, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. You shall be what? You shall be in a situation whereby you are in a state of knowledge and understanding. If you guys watch the podcast that I did with Mike Thurston, my friend Mike, he's an absolute G. I love that guy. Very humble, very great person. I talk about these people that I admire, these people that have done excellent things. So if I want to make a lot of money, I have to study the people that have made a lot of money. And anybody that thinks that these religious texts are stupid, then you're an idiot. Like, you're an absolute idiot. You are a bot of the highest order. So I mentioned one character who is known as the wisest individual to ever live and one of the wealthiest individuals to ever live. He wrote these books known as Proverbs. So the dude is out here dropping game thousands of years ago as to how to build kingdoms, how to build wealth, how to build riches, how to build your empire, and you have yet to pick it up. Okay, perfect. Well, it's not looking good for you, brother. But he has something interesting at the beginning of this book. That's called Proverbs. That is what wisdom is, knowledge put into practice. So Solomon, one of the wealthiest kings to ever exist, and this is known to be true, says, God, give me wisdom. So in the beginning of this guy's book, who is a king, who's super wealthy, who understands elements of the game that we don't understand, says, in the beginning, I think it's Proverbs 2, he says something along the lines of, God gives wisdom, and from his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. And we've talked about the etymology of the word understanding. The etymology of the word understanding, because you guys need to understand. You need to shipyards. Ships would come all the time to get what? Repaired. So the individuals that would spend time fixing the boats, they would place the boat on a stand, and then they would go under the stand to evaluate the integrity of the. So, to know God, when God gives you wisdom, aka the ability to act upon that which you know to be true, and if from his mouth comes knowledge, aka science, and the understanding, the acute discernment between truth and falsehood, then you, my friend, you better start opening up your ears and opening up your eyes at the fact that 99% of what you've told as to how the world works is a lie. And I know this to be true because I know you haven't done what I've just told you. None of you have done this. I know it to be true because I know it's rare. But you can do it because it's open for everybody. And guess what? I didn't expect you to do it because you haven't been taught how to do it. So how are you supposed to do something that you don't know exists? So my job here is to give you the data set and allow you to run with it, my friend. Allow you to run with it. So you're going to be observing all the frameworks. My goal isn't here, hey, yo, go start a dropshipping store to make 10K a month. No. I'm going to teach you how to think. I'm going to teach you how to go through this mental process and give you the necessary tools and elements to determine whether that opportunity, that business model is the 10K a month business model. Okay, perfect. It's the 10K a month business model, but does it take me 9 months to accomplish it or 2? Because there's different quality of opportunities. Risk reward ratio for the people that have no money is the best form, and then sweat equity of capitalizing on opportunities. And then finally, a book of business. Every person you meet, take down their name, take down their phone number, and build a Rolodex of information about them. Most of you guys are always focused on what you can take from a relationship and what you can extract. But as we spoke in the beginning, because everything in the world ties together, if you understand how to perceive the world for what it is, not what you've been told that it is, then you can apply intensity, volume, and frequency towards these endeavors and test out if what I'm telling you is true or not. Don't take my word for it. Test me on it. You see it on TikTok. I get billions of views at this point. Shit's crazy. But it's irrelevant, right? We'd be still saucing it up if we were getting 0 views because we're not doing it for anybody else. We're doing it for us. But you hear in the comment section people say, source, trust me, bro. From Luke Belmar, it's source, don't trust me, bro. Model and framework to be able to differentiate truth from falsehood, to develop a business model that suits you, a mental model that suits you and allows you to live life on your own terms, efficiently, effectively, accurately. And well, I've been able to crack methods of life, and you need to be able to test it to see if it works for you. So if you want to get truly educated, if you want to get truly informed, if you want to go from hustler to boss, if you want to go from 0 to hero, if you want to win in the game of life, then you need to apply mental models and systems of thinking in order to run all your information through. Because as a man thinketh, so is he. So develop how to think. Wow. What a session, huh? Let me turn on these comments. I've been kind of just ranting. Hold up. Let's see. All right. Anyways, I just turned on the chats again. Hopefully that was some good information. I've been thinking about these frameworks, and I wanted to share them with you guys. And I find them to be true. Oh, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys the secret gourd potions that we intake. Should we do a little Q&A? A little Q&A that's on topic? I'm going to select 3 people. Hit the heart emoji, give me a like, or a little comment. Should we do a little 3-person Q&A that is topical so that we can potentially get 3 questions from you guys that maybe as a consensus we can converse about? I love intellectual individuals. I like that your mind is stimulated by the desire for knowledge, the desire for growth, the desire to continue developing. We live in the dark ages, in a place where knowledge and truth is hated. People don't like the truth because the truth hurts. The truth reveals the hidden secrets of your life, the dark crevices that you want to put away and not reveal or change. But the truth exposes all things, and the truth will set you free. But sometimes the truth hurts. So, let's get a couple people in here. I'm just going to get the person in here. 3 questions, guys. They need to be on topic. I don't know how to. These are accepting, anyways. Let me get 3 questions here. Damn, guys, sorry. I have like hundreds of requests. I'm trying to go through this shit. Give me a second, real quick. Give me a second. Or should we just ask them on the side? Let's see here. That should work. Invite to join. Hold up. I'm gonna invite somebody that I think is crushing it right now. Should I invite some? Should I invite some glitches on here to just chop it up with us for a bit? Yeah, give me a comment section, guys. Should I get some glitches to be talking about these mental frameworks? We're gonna have a good time here. I'm gonna just invite people. Let's see here. For some reason, it's not letting me accept people. I don't know. Let's try another one. Oh, there we go. What's up?
What's up, brother? Doing well, doing well. Yourself?
I'm good, my friend. I was just sharing with people some data sets on how to make money.
Yes, I've been in here. Crazy value. Everyone needs to be writing all this down, taking it seriously, because honestly, it's too much sauce.
I did my I think I did my first or my second pod with you.
Yeah.
You're like the first or second. We had a great session together. I think it's time for part 3.
Let me know when you're here. I got the setup.
What is your thought on the data sets imparted? What is your mental framework? How are you observing the data sets?
Well, what I really like what you said is, I think so many people are focused on, what they have now instead of trajectory and resources. So many people, they don't understand, like, there's so many things available to them, people, resources, actual things, to where trajectory is way more important than what you currently have. Most people think about things just in another way of, like, what they don't have. So too many people think like that, and it limits them and it limits their belief. And I used to think like this 4 years ago, whenever. So I really like what you said about that, and I think that's a really, really big thing. And something that we've also talked about is people are reactive. They're not proactive. They don't step up and actually go towards their goals. People don't like that friction. They don't like stepping up and doing hard things.
Yeah, and it's what's required to win. Like, nobody's going to do it for you. Like, step up, motherfucker, or you're going to get crushed.
It's a competition.
Like, if you look at yesterday I posted a vlog. I highly recommend everybody watch it. I sat down with you guys will find out more about him inside Capital Club, but he was the former CEO of a multi-billion-dollar asset management company. And dude, this guy was out here doing multi-billion-dollar trades. That's some G shit. That's some baller stuff. When you're going up against banks, when you're going up against central banks, like, not anybody can do that. That takes a different animal, a different type of person. So if you want to actually go all in, I agree, bro. You have to be a fucking savage. You have to be a fucking animal, and you have to go all in. And that means you got to take risks.
Risk is huge. I think a lot of people, they don't want to take the risk because they're scared of losing out. But losing out on what? Like, what is there to lose out on?
And the thing is, fear comes from what? A lack of knowledge. Do you know why people are afraid of the dark? Because they don't know what's in the dark. But the truth exposes all things. So if you know the truth, then you have no fear. Because like, if you were, I know where you live. You're in Miami, super nice, but you're in a skyscraper. If you knew, right, for certainty that gravity, the natural law of gravity, did not apply or would not apply to what? To you falling, then you would jump without fear. Why? Because you would know. So it's the same way, bro. People just got to get informed.
For sure, bro. I really, I appreciate the lives, appreciate the sauce. I know everyone watching this definitely appreciates you as well, bro, for real.
Thank you, bro.
Of course. I'm going to catch you later, all right? I got to hop on this phone.
Alrighty, guys. So as you know, there's a process to making money, and my goal is to be able to share that with you effectively and efficiently. If you feel like you leave better than you came, if you feel like you've been able to extrapolate data sets and acquire some piece of information, make sure that you understand these concepts and that you share these concepts with people. You know, these aren't my concepts. I don't coin these concepts. I don't own these things. I'm sharing them with you because I want you to share them with people. I want you to test whether my philosophy of life is, or isn't valid, and then take what is valid for you and extrapolate upon it. Let's see a couple questions. This one. Okay, we got some questions. So this is crazy, right? So this is crazy. This is completely off topic, but guys, the amount of questions that me and Nate get about people's hair falling off is fucking crazy. Okay, so if your hair is falling off, you shouldn't be shampooing your hair, conditioning your hair every single day. I love that we're talking about this because it's knowledge. But hey, if you have a good set of hair, so be it. No shampoo, no conditioner for the next 30 days. Get a water filter. Make sure the fucking back of your head's not being hit by that bullshit ass tap water. Make sure you put argan oil in your hair, jojoba oil, and just make sure that you're just scrubbing your head really well. So you don't want to end up being a baldy. So, but I'll have Mr. Belmar talk about that inside Capital Club. He has all these biohacking protocols and all this crazy shit. So, if you guys saw the amount of people that asked about that, you'd be surprised. Alrighty. Great question. There's one more question, and it might get me in trouble, but we're going to wrap with this one. Isn't science just paid information created by government? Quote unquote. Question mark. Why is healthy food so expensive if it's good for us? Very simple. Because you're not working to produce it. You're just paying for it. So they have to mass produce genetically modified stuff because people are not self-sustained. So it makes sense from that side. But then on the science isn't information that's paid for. Science is knowledge, and then what the government does is indoctrinates through vehicles of fabricated authority, corrupted versions of truth to manipulate the perception of reality and control the perception of reality. And they do that as well by dumbing down the quality of food, right? Or the input of energy and the focus of time, energy, attention that you have into what? Into being a nice little slave and paying your taxes. So hopefully this was of value to you guys. We ran for an hour. If you haven't watched the YouTube video that I posted, go watch that. Capital Club is opening for 48 hours, October 11th at 11:11 a.m. Not everybody's going to be let in. I think I have over 140,000 people waiting to get in. Maybe I'll let in like 50. Who knows? Can I do more damage with 50 than with like 20,000? Or should I let 20? Like, tell me, guys, what should we do? Because I'm at a crossroads here, and I'll be honest with you. And I was talking with my buddy Jordan Welch, and I'll be frank with you guys. And I was messaging with him, and I'm like, bro, like, do I really want to come out of retirement? Do I like really want to get back into this? Like, do I really want to get into the game again? Like reopening Capital Club, bringing new members, nurturing new members, introducing them to the network, like putting them on. And he messaged me something that was really powerful, and it stood out to me. He said,
He said,